Today we're on page 81 in our notebooks, and we're going to talk about angles and triangles. Go ahead and pause your video so that you can set up your notebook so it looks just like this. This is your warm-up. We had a warm-up yesterday really similar to this, so I need you to copy all of this down and then solve it. So go ahead and pause your video so you can do your warm-up, and then I'll come around to check it, so make sure that you're actually doing it. Alright, your learning goals. You will know you are successful if you can describe the relationship between the measures of angles in any triangle, and then we're going to be finding the missing measures of angles in a triangle. The important part in these notes, it says the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So what we want to do is highlight sum, and that means that to add. And then angles in a triangle are 180 degrees. The really important one is that 180 degrees. All of my angles of my triangle equal 180 degrees. This is your first example. It says write and solve an equation to determine the value of x. So it gives me three different things. It gives me 119, 43, and 2x. And what I have to do is I have to create an equation. So I have 2x. And I'm going to add all of these because remember the sum is 180. So the sum of all three is 180. So 2x plus 119 plus 43, and that's all equal to 180. All triangles are equal to 180. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to add these two together. So I have 119 plus 43. 3 plus 9 gives me 12. Then I have 4, 5, and 6, and then bring down the 1, so I have 162. Then I need to bring this down. This 2x plus 162 is equal to 180. So this is now just a two-step equation. So what I have to do is I first can use those circles. Alright, inside of my first circle I put an x. With my x I'm multiplying that by 2. X times 2 is 2x. Then I add 162, and 2x plus 162 is just 2x plus 162, and that's all equal to 180. I do the opposite of 1 plus 162, which is to subtract 162. So I have to do 180 minus 162. I have to borrow from that 8, that becomes a 7, and that 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8, 7 minus 6 is 1. So I know that here I get 18. Then I have to do the opposite of times 2, which is to divide by 2. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So x is equal to 9. Let's go to the next example. It says in triangle ABC, the angle A is equal to 25 degrees, angle B is equal to 107 degrees, and angle C is equal to 3x degrees. Write and solve an equation to determine the value of x. So the very first thing I need you to do is draw that triangle on your paper. And I want to label these A, B, and C. So all I have to do is fill these in. So I know that angle A was equal to 25 degrees. Angle B was 107 degrees. And angle C was 3x. So now that we've done that, all I have to do is write an equation. So I know that all three of these angles are going to equal 180 degrees. So I add these together. I have 3x plus 25 plus 107. The first thing I need to do is add these together. So I have 107 plus 25. 7 plus 5 is 12. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then I bring down this 1, so it's 132. And I bring everything else down. So I have 3x plus 132, and that's all equal to 180. Now this is a two-step equation, so I can solve this by using my circles. Inside of my first circle, I put an x. What's happening with that x is I'm multiplying by 3. And then x times 3 is just 3x. Then I add 132. And 3x plus 132 is 3x plus 132. And that's all equal to 180. I do the opposite of plus 132, which is to subtract 132. So I do 180 minus 132. 0 minus 2, can't do that, I have to borrow. That becomes a 7 and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8, 7 minus 3 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So I know that 180 minus 132 is 48. Then I look at the opposite of times 3, which is to divide by 3. So I got to do 48 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down your 8. 3 goes into 18 6 times. So I know that x is equal to 16. If you'll flip your paper over to the last example, it says the Alabama state flag is shown. Write and solve an equation, determine the value of x in the triangle. So if you notice, I have a triangle here. I have a couple, but I want to focus on this one. And so I know that all triangles are equal to 180, so I just need to create an equation. Because they're all equal to 180, let's start there. Then I want to start with my x, so I have 5x plus 35 plus 110. First thing I have to do is add these two together. So I have 110 plus 35. 0 plus 5 is 5. 1 plus 3 is 4. And I bring down this 1, so it's 145. And I bring everything else down, so 5x plus 145 is equal to 180. Now this is a two-step equation, so I can do those circles or the flow chart. The first thing that goes in my flowchart is my x. What's happening with my x is I'm multiplying by 5. X times 5 is just 5x. Then I'm adding 145. 5x plus 145 is 5x plus 145. And that's all equal to 180. I look up and do the opposite. The opposite of plus 145 is to subtract 145. So I have to do 180 minus 145. I can't do 0 minus 5 to borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5, 7 minus 4 is 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So I know that 180 minus 145 gives me 35. Then I do the opposite of times 5, which is to divide by 5. And 35 divided by 5 gives me 7. So x is equal to 7. I want to make sure that you glue these notes in, and then I want you to get started on your practice problems. On the back of your practice problems, I want you to exclude 10, 11, and 12. So you only have 9 problems to do, and I want you to make sure that you're checking your answers in your spreadsheet.